Well, I started out in, I guess, first of all, the Gaylib Street Theatre in London in 1969. They all of a sudden, all this activity that had been just growing and growing and growing just exploded into the mass media. We were exploring the destruction of edges, if you like, the blurring of all the edges, and naturally that very quickly went into the blurring of the edges of life and art and creativity. And then it got into the blurring of personality and identity and gender, obviously. So that was a very, very important moment, even for global culture, because it launched the entire first wave of the destruction of the old culture.
I didn't dig this up from the darkest fringes of the internet. This is as mainstream as it gets.
Changing society and changing the way things are.
The mission of the OTO, as I see it, is to bring about certain changes which are set forth in the book of the law. And one manifestation of these changes is political. But the political changes are almost a byproduct. They've got to come after and as a response to certain more fundamental changes. Changes in values, changes in basically the way people think. And that will cause a political change.
Maybe, just maybe, all of that sex magic actually ended up working.
Everybody say love. Everybody say love.
Love is the law. Love under will.
All at home, touch your TV set, because this is the most important show you'll ever watch. Oh, man.
I recently realized that there's a whole lot of really amazing figureheads and people to look up to in this world, who aren't white or straight or male or what have you, and that we should learn a little bit more about these people.
We tend to get very far from a lot of people because we're crazy.
And now we're going to talk about the bullshit leftist, crazy LGBT people that are teachers on TikTok.
For our students to be able to wear the clothes that their parents approve of, come to school, and then swap out into the clothes that fit who they truly are.
Because listen, just because somebody is lesbian or trans doesn't mean that we're crazy.
Right, only kind of. There's good crazy and then there's like harmful crazy.
Hi, my name's Az and I'm a preschool teacher. So my classroom celebrates diversity. It's probably my favorite thing to teach. Recently we started wearing pronoun pins, and the kids get to pick a new pronoun pin every day. We have some that pick like she, her every single day, and we have some that change it up.
So what do you think about that? Different pronoun pins every day for 4-year-olds.
Oh my god.
Bullied by leftist activists, Disney decided to step out of its role as just a great family entertainment company that we all love, and into the role of a radical political advocate.
In the statement, Disney declared the bill should never have been signed into effect and that they would take action to ensure that it would be repealed. Because if there's one thing family entertainment companies should be doing, it's defending the right of teachers to talk to 5-year-olds about sex.
Parental rights law in Florida, it's about protecting children and parents' rights from not having 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds talk to about sex, period.
What do we want to have? If we're in charge, if we have complete freedom, what would we build?
Total freedom for everybody is our goal, you know. That way, you know, it will be a utopia.
But we are idealists, utopians.
The tough thing in life is ultimate freedom. Ultimate freedom is the big challenge. Now, I've got it, and I can tell you there's not many of us that have got ultimate freedom.
Hallelujah. I'm a freak, hallelujah.
Sexuality seems to be one of the more obvious subject matters that you're dealing with. Why sex and sexuality?
Because we feel it's no mistake that in every society and every tribal structure there are laws governing sexuality. And to us, that suggests that sexuality has in itself some power and energy, which is these societies and controllers have a vested interest in suppressing, that freedom is taken away when there is a threat. Therefore, there is a threat to control from sexuality. Therefore, it ought to be investigated and liberated.
La libertad sexual es algo muy importante para nosotros. Es un requisito necesario para la Iglesia satánica. No es el más importante, pero sí es del todo vital. Creemos que todos deberíamos tener la libertad para recrearnos en toda clase de fetichismos o de las así llamadas aberraciones que queramos.
¿Han tenido su orgasmo, señores espectadores y señoras espectadoras? En caso contrario, les han educado de una forma equívoca.
And a lot of it in the past 2 years has been heavy against things to say, not to say, don't hurt people's feelings, that, you know, don't say he, she, ladies, gentlemen, you know, just very like, you know, basically we have to be in fear of what we say now.
And in the end, to become the same as ourselves, not to have male and female.
To make androgyny, yeah?
To become androgynous.
The idea that kindergartners, first, second, and third graders are going to be inundated with sexual orientation and transgenderism, we're not going to tolerate that in Florida. And so by Disney putting this front and center on their cultural chart, it led to us taking a look at what special privileges does Disney have.
Disney CEO Bob Chapek has a better way to advance the LGBTQ agenda. Over in Florida, where Disney has a really big footprint, think about Disney World and those sorts of things, there's legislation being put forth, being discussed. It's called the Don't Say Gay Bill by those who oppose it.
So too was Disney. The company released a statement announcing the new law, referring to it in the same dishonest way the media has, as the so-called Don't Say Gay Bill. The bill, by the way, doesn't actually say the word gay.
The legislation basically says that teachers or third parties cannot teach sexual orientation, gender identity issues, and really in line with the LGBTQ agenda. They cannot teach that and they cannot advocate for it. And it must be age appropriate in all the other ages as well. The fact that that is a controversy kind of shows the state of our culture.
What has this world come to? It's come to a world where drag kids actually exist.
And people do ketamine on a couch. Do you not just do that? What? Oh my God, who am I sitting next to?
You got to reject the whole thing, okay? And the squishes need to stop trying to find some conciliatory middle ground. There's no middle ground. And the libs obviously aren't going to stop. They are now presenting transing the kids as though it were the most common sense, ordinary thing.
So here's the time when Good Morning America featured an 11-year-old boy in drag. The child's stage name is Desmond is Amazing. And everyone in the building, including the hosts, seem to very much agree that what you're about to see is indeed amazing. Here it is.
Please welcome Desmond Napoles, a.k.a. Desmond is Amazing.
It's what Disney promotes and supports.
They've made it very clear that conservative Christian voices have no place visiting their parks or working at their parks.
Another video shows the Disney diversity and inclusion manager proudly stating that Disney had removed all mentions of the word ladies, gentlemen, boy, and girl from its theme parks to cater to trans Disney enthusiasts.
We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we say dreamers of all ages.
And if you oppose transing the kids, that you are some sort of horrible bigot or some cynic political operative, rather than what you actually are, which is a person with at least a tenuous, slight grasp on reality, unlike Pete Buttigieg, unlike the entire left. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop with consenting adults can do whatever they want. An adult can chop off his body parts if he wants. They're not going to stop. It's going to go all the way down to little kids and little toddlers and little babies. They're already doing that. Stand up now. People say, well, are you going to die on this hill? I don't intend to die on any hill, but if you don't stand up on a hill and fight, you're going to just completely concede the whole battle.
This is the final war.
Someone said you're supposed to look like this! Someone told me! I want you to be the same as the one that went before. I am not. I refuse to be the same.
And then the war begins. We live in a war zone, and the war zone never ends, and that's what makes it fun. There used to be peace, and now there's war. I believe that pleasure is the weapon, and I want to recreate staggering excitement for everybody, male, female, 5 years old, or insane.
Can you describe for us the kind of ritual abuse that you've seen?
Children, small, under 10, mainly from the families, the active members. The children were usually drugged. They underwent full intercourse.
But the war goes on,
Este señor es peligrosísimo, es que da miedo. O sea, Génesis da miedo.
This world of men is a place of darkness and misery and pain and anguish and hatred and failure. For the world of men is hell.
No hell below us.
Because their truth is that God is the devil and that we are in hell.
I want to ask you, who do you pray to?
I pray to a power greater than myself.
You talked about incantations. Are you meaning prayers?
I suppose it would be prayers, yes.
Who are they praying to?
To Satan.
It is indeed a good practice to experiment with being different people, and even often different genders or different archetypes, privately or in public.
This is how the all-seeing eye sees things. Evil is good and good is evil.
But another way to look at this is as above, so below. You have the cross above and an S below. That's Christ and Satan. And on the left you have a female symbol, and on the right you have a male symbol.
Say hello to RuPaul. Hello, everyone.
RuPaul, currently known in his circles as the Queen of Manhattan 1990. You'll find out why.
You come up here. Come over here.
We have an absolute right to be whoever we want to be.
I'm Desmond, and I am from Brooklyn, New York.
I am so sick and tired of being told what I'm supposed to look like.
You say that you're not religious, but you do pray.
Oh, I pray every day. And this is for you and for you kids out there watching. Look at this gorgeous child.
We are grooming the new generation of Americans to be fully embracing of diversity.
We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
Now, Desmond, you are the future of America.
What can we do here to mess with their heads?
We've told you about Drag Queen Story Hour, the effort by the LGBTQ community to teach tolerance by reading in drag to children at public libraries.
The payback, I hope, for everyone else is that they'll see the book and they'll go, wow, that looks like fun. You know, a bit weird sometimes, but wow, it looks like fun. I would have liked to have lived like that, and the answer is you can. Not the same, but using the same structures, using the same techniques, you can build your person who lives the fantastic life.
That's the whole goal, is to make kids that aren't used to seeing something like me more comfortable to seeing it. Do you want to touch my hair? No.
And for the children and the people that support it are going to realize that this is going to be the grooming of the next generation.
Are you nervous?
Yes.
So when was the first time that you ever did drag?
When I was 2 years old, when I watched the first episode of RuPaul's Drag Race, honey.
2 years old, first episode of RuPaul's Drag Race.
I will convert your children, yes we will. Reaching one and all, there's really no no escaping it. 'Cause even Grandma likes RuPaul.
There's a RuPaul connection here that we're going to get to.
I discovered that I wanted to drag when I watched the first episode of RuPaul's Drag Race when I was 2.
Yeah, you can't show your kids that. You can't show your kids that, man. What?
You know what, man? If y'all want him to be a drag queen when he grows up, when he's 17, 18 years old,
That's
so be
cool.
it. But
I'm cool.
10, 11, 9 years old, this dude's been dressing up like a girl since he was 2.
And guess what? They just found this kid at a bar dancing in front of gay dudes, and they was throwing dollar bills at him.
I don't know no parents that would be comfortable with that.
That's crazy as hell.
And that is the key to prayer. The idea of kneeling down and saying, "Dear God," just those 2 words, and kneeling down.
Are you in a relationship
with God?
You are?
No, actually, no, that's not true. I'm in a relationship with Satan. That is that act.
That's
the ego
humility.
has no power over that.
Ego. Now, when you hear the word ego in magic, it does not mean the same thing as in psychology or the way it's used in the West.
So ultimately, pandrogyny is about letting go of all bodies. That there is no body anymore. And there is just pure, unadulterated, infinite consciousness.
You use the words I and we in a new way. Could you explain that?
Well, the I is what we call the flat people, who assume that the person that they've been donated by social conditioning is a one-dimensional actual person. The we is how we see the world.
What is your name?
Legion, because there are many of us here inside this man. This is not my body. This is not my name. This is not my personality.
The body you have is a vessel, and you're bigger. It's bigger than the both of us. Geraldo.
We don't. In magic, what we're talking about when we say the word ego is you are the source of creation.
Which is that everybody is made up of lots and lots of different personalities, fantasies, attitudes, and that a multi-personality is in fact the reality, not the I personality.
Ego is a kind of lens that is hardwired into your physical substance that causes you to experience reality as an individual.
Position that we're trying to work at to break people across from seeing themselves as one-dimensional and having no potential to seeing themselves as being almost anything they want to be, and that those different things don't have to always agree in the usual accepted way.
So that, because we are extensions of the power, so we are very powerful.
Which we were encouraged just to look into occultic ways of increasing our power and our desire to be wanted.
So the thoughts that you think, the thoughts that I think, they go out into the world. And life says, I'll be whatever you want me to be. I'll be whatever you want. And so that's the life you'll get.
Which is that ideas are far more powerful, that if you really are fortunate and have the courage to believe your own fantasy, your own dream, you can make the most amazing things happen.
By doing magic, what we gradually do is wear away that lens so that we no longer live in this illusion of separateness. By doing certain exercises in magic.
Satan was described as having a high level as well as a low level. The high level was magic, literally magic.
We love Satan.
Join us, won't you?
Il satanismo insegna e la gente lo osserva anche se non sa che è satanismo. Non c'è nessun Dio sopra di te, sei tu il Dio di te stesso.
By doing certain exercises in magic, you can come to experience yourself as the consciousness that looks out through the eyes of every man, woman, and child in this world.
And I got 7 big locks in my brain, you dig? And then I send off to Norway. Sure! And I send him a thought, and it goes to Norway. You dig? Once that Bushman is right inside my soul, man. He's right inside. I can hear everything. I can see through his eyes.
Every man and every woman is a star or a god.
Therefore, each man, each woman
is a god or gods in Satanism.
Do anything that I want to. I can pursue any kind of lustful desires that I might feel.
What would be the Bible from the Apocalypse?
Oh, that's easy. We have the Bible right here.
Commandments, like the 10 Commandments.
No, there are no commandments in here.
We make our own rules in the clubs. Nobody is there to say, you can't dress like that, you can't behave like that, you shouldn't be doing that. We can do whatever we want.
Oh, deeper, deeper.
There we go. Wow.
So I meditate, I pray, I'm very mindful of the thoughts that I think. You have a tribe that is waiting for you. We are waiting for you, baby. Come on to Mama Roo.
We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. We're coming for them. We're coming for your children. We're coming for them. Your children will care about fairness and justice for others. Your children will work to convert all their sisters and brothers.
Welcome to the pew. Doodly doo. Pew pew for me, pew pew for you.
And pew pew for Desmond. It was amazing.
Well, he gets more than pew pew. He gets pew 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 pew.
There's a side of it that is very innocent and naive, and then there's another side of it that's a little bit sinister and dark and creepy. It's just something that comes out somehow.
In order to really appreciate how dark it is, you need to know some of the wider context of what's going on in this clip.
So, where does your fashion sense come from?
My fashion sense comes from colorfulness, club kids, what's kids.
Yeah, this Instagram photo here was posted to Desmond's account on Christmas, and it's him with a book called Club Kids. So that's obviously pictures of the club kids, Michael Alig and the gang.
Between the late 1980s and the turn of the century, the Limelight was one of New York City's most infamous clubs. Limelight was also home to the club kids.
In the early 1990s, Michael Alig was the ringleader of an infamous group of ravers known as the Club Kids. Like a virus, their irreverent subculture eventually spread to the mainstream.
This is a picture of RuPaul and Michael Alig together in the past. RuPaul was one of the club kids that came up around the same time in New York City with Michael. You can also, RuPaul is mentioned as one of Michael's club kids on Michael's Wikipedia page.
Who's like your favorite club kid?
Michael Alig and James St. James.
Michael Alig and Jane St. James.
No, I mean, I'm a drug addict. No, because I had a big K problem from 94 to 2004, probably. Then I was telling Ernie that I had a little meth problem for a while there.
And that's basically what you got on the surface. And that's enough to maybe be a little bit unsettling. That's enough for you to say, I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I'm not sure that I'm okay with it.
Oh my God, Schlagen.
Yeah,
Kinderschlagen.
Which actually means
cream.
It's Kinder Schokolade. What you just said was Kinderschlagen was child cream.
It is like child cream.
It is like child cream.
Which, for the record, none of us have ever been consuming.
Here's the child right there, and James is consuming.
That's delicious.
Consuming his cream.
Just I need more chocolate.
More children cream.
This guy to Desmond's right is Michael Alig.
We'll meet our celebutants of nightlife. First is Michael Alig.
Now, Michael Alig was made famous in the 90s when he was portrayed by Macaulay Culkin in a film called Party Monster. That's right, this guy is the Party Monster.
Let's see, what else? Oh, once when I was 10, my Sunday school teacher took me back to his house. He taught me how to French kiss, among other things.
He really took my boy under his wing. Very nice man.
He wasn't just some psychomaniac, who did nothing. He ruled nightlife for years. Then it all went down with the lack of boundaries, too many drugs, and now he's famous for something else.
Heroin gives you kind of a feeling of
that everything is okay, kind of like Xanax, but like, you know, it takes away all of your worries and concerns, and you can actually, you could maybe do something that wouldn't seem conceivable, and you know, if you're sober.
And Michael even had a party here at Limelight that was like a blood feast thing with, you know, dismembered limbs and imagery like that, which made you wonder what he was thinking about.
Now, if you've seen that movie, you know how fucked up this is. If you haven't, let me fill you in.
By 1996, Limelight's appeal began to crumble when club kid Angel Melendez was killed by the ringleader of the group, party promoter Michael Alig, and his roommate.
I don't know. I guess they're jealous because I'm having a lot of fun and they're not.
Then, in 1996, Alig and fellow club kid Robert Freeze Riggs killed and dismembered their friend, Andre Angel Melendez, in a drug-fueled haze. The gruesome incident was fictionalized in the 2003 film Party Monster, turning Alig into a morbid cult icon in some circles.
Things are just great, Geraldo. How are things in your life?
Oh, fine, thanks, fine.
Michael and another one of the roommates, a guy who they called Freeze, murdered the drug dealer who went by the name Angel. So what they did was they bashed him over the head with a hammer a few times, put a pillow over his face to suffocate him. Michael filled up a syringe with Drano and injected Drano into Angel's veins, as well as shot Drano into his mouth and then duct taped his mouth shut.
The duo stashed the mutilated corpse in the bathtub, covering it with ice and a few spritzes of Calvin Klein Eternity cologne, then continued to party for more than a week, fried on a mind-bending mix of heroin, ketamine, cocaine and Rofinol, and even invited friends over to the apartment while Melendez's body rotted in the other room.
After a few days, it really started to stink, and so Michael said they had to deal with it. He offered to deal with it if Freeze would give him 10 bags of heroin. Freeze did, and in exchange for the 10 bags of heroin, Michael chopped up Angel's body, put it into a box, and dumped it in the Hudson River.
I think personally that it would be in really poor taste, and I know it sounds funny for me to say in poor taste, it would be in really poor taste for my artwork to show remorse. It would seem extremely manipulative. And trite and, you know, disgusting kind of. This is Adolf Hitler with my cum on his chin, and I cum on all of their face. So my cum is right there on his chin.
Michael Alig, the infamous nightlife legend, king of the club kids and convicted murderer, has died by apparent overdose in his Upper Manhattan home on Christmas Day, the New York Daily News reports from official sources. He was 54. According to reports, Alig was doing heroin shortly before he lost consciousness around 3 a.m.
Yeah, that the devil means business. It doesn't play. That's what I've been sharing in my testimony.
And they're in front of a painting where you can see the feet of a girl skipping rope and the word Rohypnol. Michael Alig painted that. In case you don't know, Rohypnol is the date rape drug. It's something that they complacent so that you can molest them, rape them, whatever, and they don't remember what happened to them afterwards.
But Now Dispatches has obtained a video produced by a group operating in Britain, which appears to show ritual abuse actually taking place. The video runs for nearly 3 hours. It begins with a stylized introduction to the group's philosophy.
¿Qué es lo que más te gusta de él si, digamos, este aspecto de su religión o de su filosofía no te gusta? Caress. Preséntanos a Caress, que es...
And Caress, she's dancing in the song.
You like that one?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
So you see, your advice went home. You said we got to be nice. Stop being nice.
Yeah, are you planning to put images on his?
Yeah, I'm going to do a video to go with it.
Preséntanos a Caress, que... Are you experienced? Have you ever been experienced? Well, I am.
They were forced into oral sex with children and with adults.
Me interesa el sexo.
Y la idea de que la música en principio ha sido concebida para concebir y desarrollar una situación es la misma expresión, la misma persona, por ejemplo, la misma vez que tenemos sexo con una persona por primera vez.
So to share Psychic TV's philosophies, one can deviate from the norm in any shape or form.
Well, you have to, otherwise you don't share the philosophy.
Hemos hecho un círculo completo. Empezamos de una forma intelectual y ahora somos sexuales. Y quiero follarme a todo el público.
A lot of the core values of being a drag queen, love, acceptance, joy, laughter, self-expression, are values that we want to instill in our kids. So I think it's really important that we bring this program and we spread the joy of reading and the joy of just spreading love.
Changes in values, changes in basically the way people think, and that will cause a political change.
And one of the things we wanted was for people to be serious about wanting to change.
And we were very serious about trying to find ways to change how we felt and how we behaved. We had community houses all over England. Eventually there were about 10,000 people actively involved over the world with different group centres in about 8-9 countries.
And then some of the books are about the Process Church of the Final Judgment, which was one of our templates for building communities as an example of a previous experiment.
The process was saying that Christ and Satan had to reconcile, and that if Christ was about forgiveness, then he must forgive all enemies, including the fallen angels.
The symbol you see on screen is the Son of Sam logo or symbol. He also admitted to being part of a occult group that met at a park, and he named them as the Process Church.
People will never understand where I came from. No matter how much I try to explain it, they wouldn't understand what it was to walk in darkness.
With the killer who in one note signed himself the Son of Sam.
Most of the victims have been young women with shoulder-length dark brown hair.
He was writing about a dog that talked to him, gave him orders to kill.
He's always said the devil made him do it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Christ above, Satan below, female on the left, male on the right. Now let's look at a Process Church symbol. This is from the Process Church directly. Look in the middle, Christ and Satan. That type of ideology was also used by Genesis P-Orridge with her cult that was created called the Temple of Psychic Youth, where they use as their symbol a triple cross. And so you have a cross above and a cross below that represents as above, so below. The Lucifer and Jehovah part are very interesting and equate to female and male. And I believe that you can equate Jehovah to the male symbol because the church is essentially representative of Jehovah, a male ruler, male domination. Women are often associated with breaking away from the patriarchy as witches. So they were representative of freedom.
I'm a witch, hallelujah.
Lucifer, of course, is displayed as white, the light, the illumination, the enlightenment. Jehovah is demonstrated as black. This is exactly what Gnosticism preaches. They believe that the dark God is the creator God and suppresses freedom. This is another reason they hate Jews. So you want to be enlightened, and become free by following Lucifer.
Yeah, say we're currently investigating cults, and I was wondering, do you know about the cult called The Process, a very secretive cult? We have found through that there was a possibility Charlie was involved at one time with that cult.
There was a famous book by Ed Sanders about Manson that linked him to the process. Sort of Charlie learned everything he knew from the process.
A lot of the guys were interested in studying the way to process the mind, how to clear your mind from past confusion, how to resurrect the soul and be reborn within yourself. So that's where Scientology started, and then they started selling it, and then it got to be the process. And then the Church of the Last Day, the Last Judgment, I sent some people to England. I couldn't go myself, but I sent some people there.
Perhaps we can just look at Satan instead of, projecting it out as some evil in the world, and you can kind of look at Satan inside of yourself so that you can lead him by the hand instead of finding yourself in situations where the opposite might occur.
We took the structure of a magical order or a Masonic order.
Listen to the founder of the Satanic Church, Anton LaVey, tell us in his book, The Satanic Rituals. The Satanic Ritual is a blend of Gnostic, Kabbalistic, Hermetic, and Masonic elements. That's crazy because Freemasonry is a blend of Gnostic, Kabbalistic, and Hermetic elements too. But how can that be?
El iniciado va con una venda en los ojos que se le quita al llegar delante de Baphomet y ahí tiene que hacer una opción entre la cruz cristiana o la cruz de Baphomet.
I think we can see all around us the results of bad magic.
La cruz cristiana se tira al suelo y el candidato la tiene que pisar, primero con el pie izquierdo, después con el derecho.
But how can that be? Because Freemasonry is Satanism in disguise.
O sea que hay una clara elección en el candidato entre Cristo o Lucifer.
So the basic bottom line is, as we said over and over again, we believe in change. We believe people should change, that change should be constant.
So everything has to be flipped on its head in order for things to make sense.
We wanted to be a perpetual thorn in the side, a virus that was always picking away and mutating, so that new things happened, whatever they were, even for the sake of it.
Nothing should remain fixed. You should be in the present, moving to the future.
Breaking identity and not believing that anything had to be the same from moment to moment.
My name is Genesis Briar P-Orridge. I am one half of Briar P-Orridge, which is the Pandragine. The positive androgyne is the future of the human species.
And that's how we evolve. It's not just about masculine and feminine, it's about a mixture of all forces within people when they become into adepthood. You actually embody the qualities of Baphomet, of the divine androgyne within your own self.
This horrid thing, with breasts, a penis, and a goat's head with 2 horns.
From the 90s, P-Orridge and lover Lady J embarked on a life as art project, undergoing surgery to resemble one another, adopting gender-neutral pronouns, and coming to identify as a single androgynous being.
The Baphomet, the image of Lucifer.
Dios andrógino, torso humano con ambos sexos.
Both of the artists that represent Briar P-Orridge are prepared to express their dissatisfaction with this fatalistic and redundant view of the physical body.
I had the worst body dysmorphia ever. I did not like myself. I did not love myself. I did not care to love myself.
And to go farther and embrace all the surgical, chemical, and psychological advances that will enable them to create the new Pandragine.
First, I want to remind you this.
The devil does not play, and person follows him or serves him, they're throwing their life away. They don't know what they're getting into. What could start out as dabbling could ultimately lead to total possession. I've seen it in the past. I know what happened to me, and I hesitate to share these things in the public because it just sounds so unbelievable. People really can't accept that. They don't really understand, or my words get twisted. It's been a real uphill battle to even share.
The unforgivable sin, the blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, is a willful, stubborn, intentional rejection of Christ and the gospel. Even when the Holy Spirit has given you overwhelming evidence and clarity of who Jesus Christ is, and you have a full knowledge of his power, you still choose to reject him, and you reject him stubbornly. But I do believe that there is forgiveness to be found for any man or woman who cries out for mercy. If today you know that you're getting too close to this sin, I'm asking you, I'm pleading with you to turn from it, because the Bible says, let none of us be hardened by the deceitfulness of sin. And sin can harden your heart over a very slow period of time to the point where you just don't desire the things of God. Every sin and blasphemy will be forgiven. But it's true, isn't it? God has a big eraser, and any man or woman who will humbly turn back to God and cry out for forgiveness of sins, he'll forgive them all.
Mainly today, I just see that my calling in life, what I feel is my calling, is to share the good news of Jesus Christ and to reach as many with that message of hope as possible. First of all, I want to be a good Christian because I want to please the Lord. But it's my way of saying that I'm sorry for the things that happened in the past, and I'm sorry for being that bad person and being a fool. And this is my way of, if I could reach out to some young person, I really believe with all my heart that the message that I'm sharing today through the written pamphlets or through the videos have actually saved a lot of lives, and there's ministers to verify that, where they're kids or whatever who've heard that message and have, instead of going in the path that they were going, which may have led eventually to a graveyard, an early grave, they've given their life to Christ instead, and they're better people today because of it. And so I'm thankful for that. That's truly a blessing. And that's not me doing that. I believe it's God. God works through people, ordinary people.
There's always hope, there's always restoration to be found to any person who is willing to come back to God. And that's the key message. Are you willing to come back to God?